Welcome everybody to Hobby Time. Today I'm going to talk about setting up a club to play miniatures games. I recently did this and I want to talk to you about some of the problems, ways to save money, and pitfalls to miss out on, but also the good things about running a club. One of your first problems will be finding people to join your club. If you're lucky enough to have a hobby shop around where you live, this is a great place to start. Many people who play a miniatures game can also be keen to start another, especially when you say the good parts about the game. If their game is getting a little bit stale, it might be a great time for them to start a game too. So hit them up, make a Facebook group, and invite them to a hobby club night. My way, because I don't have a shop in my area, was to find friends in the area. I live in a small community, so having time for a hobby hangout was great for them. Gave us something to do, and playing a game at the same time is great. Next up is table space. If you play at a local store, they should hopefully have this covered. My local store, which is about an hour away, has 4 tables set up for people to play miniatures games. If you want to play at a club, say in a hall at your house or somewhere that you can use, I recommend cheap folding tables. These come at around anywhere between $30 and $50, and 2 of them work great for either 2 First Blood games from Conquest, or 1 big game like The Last Arguments of Kings, or Warhammer 40k or Fantasy. The only problem with this is that it can get quite pricey. Once you've bought 2 tables, you're looking anywhere between $60 and $100, and then you need to figure out what you're going to put on top. My suggestion is to start off slow. Buy 2 tables so that you can run 2 games of maybe First Blood, and maybe just buy a mat for it, and that is it. Once your club slowly gains and gets bigger, it might be able for other people to buy tables. It might be smart to ask other people if they want to buy a gaming mat, so you don't end up with all this stuff. Start small, build your club up, bring your resources together so you're not the only person buying it, is my first piece of advice. Next big one is how to get people interested. My first thing was to ask the people around me what they wanted to play. Are they into fantasy? Are they into futuristic games? Do they want a game they can finish in an hour? Do they want a game that they can play for 2 or 3 hours? My club wanted to play a short game that could be played into an hour or an hour and a half. We like fantasy mostly, so we went towards Conquest. If your club likes futuristic games, it might be a great thing to start Kill Teams from 40k. Maybe they want to start a small game of 40k, and that would be another option. My suggestion is something like First Blood. This is a great little kit for $50. It gives them the rules, a character, some miniatures, get some building, and they can easily play the next week. Next up, once they have their units, it's teaching them how to play. This can be a great session with you and the other player, them going backwards and forwards. The thing I would say though is pretty much let them win their first game. Allowing them to win their first game means they have a lot more fun in it. It means that when they go to play their next game, they're excited to because they've won their first. And it's a nice, easy way of easing them into a new hobby. Another thing that can help beginning players is letting them borrow your snips and glue for the week. This allows them to not have to invest in the building side apart from the models, and it can be quite a big step for them when they have to go buy $10 worth of glue, $10 worth of snips, a hobby knife. This allows them to use those for $0, and it's not like they're going to break or anything like that. This idea of keeping it cheap for new players is what gets them wanting to come back and slowly build their bigger army. Starting off with Conquest First Blood for $50 is a great entry point, but then spending $200 to play a proper 750 point game is what you're looking at in the end. Now, those are some of the negatives. Let's look at some of the positives, and there's quite a few. Getting people interested in the hobby and being able to play on a regular basis is a great thing. Also, having programs like the Vanguard Conquest system is another big positive for you. When you run the club, you're always up for a game, but sadly sometimes there's an odd number, and if so, you should be the first person to let other people play. Maybe you're going to paint for the hour and a half instead so they can have fun. This is mainly about the club running and running well, less about you enjoying the club so much. A perfect example is this week. we had odd numbers. I let the players play. I sat down and painted some beast packs from Conquest instead. They had a ton of fun. I enjoy painting. I got a solid hour and a half of painting in. So it's a win-win in both situations. Another big positive is to be able to steer your club to a certain type of game or a certain game style that you want to play. Sometimes you really enjoy a game like Kill Team, but there's no one around you to play Kill Team. This is where starting up your own club can have some very big positives. By setting up your own club, you can push them in the direction that you would like to play. My club currently is just in the building and starting off playing phase, but I'm pushing them to build a bigger army so each week we can play a proper game of Conquest. And this is a great feature about running a club. Lastly, I want to say that running a club can be lots of work. You're always talking to people, trying to figure out when they can show up, occasionally putting out fires between members if they get into arguments, but there are many rewards. Always having other people to play against is great, especially if you live in a small community where there isn't a normal hobby shop around. Growing the hobby can be its own reward, and understanding how the game works, you very much need a good understanding of the rules to be the person who runs the hobby club. There can be benefits like the Vanguard system in Conquest. They'll provide you a certain amount of money each month to help run your club. Having a raffle for everyone can be a nice, enjoyable way, and sometimes you might win. So that is a very big positive. And lastly, the benefits of making friends, having fun, and having a good chat while you play some games. It can be a nice, rewarding way to spend your afternoon. Hope this helps anyone who has thought about starting a club. There are many different ways to do it. This is just a small example of different things that I've noticed while running my club, and I hope you go into it with the enthusiasm that I have. Thanks for watching. This has been Hobby Time, and I'll see you next video.